The transport ship shuddered as it pierced the atmosphere of Velora Prime. Outside the viewport, a sprawling cityscape stretched beneath swirling violet skies, its towers gleaming like shards of crystal under the twin suns. Earth's first military cadets stared in silence, their nerves tightening with anticipation. This was the moment humanity had waited for, a chance to prove themselves not just as survivors of a small blue planet, but as worthy members of a vast interstellar alliance. Commander Ava Serrano stood at the front of the group, her dark eyes scanning the alien horizon. Beside her, Lieutenant Jamal Raish shifted his weight nervously. The others exchanged quiet, tense glances. They knew the stories. The Galactic Concord was made up of hundreds of species, some with histories that spanned millennia. Their technology was light years ahead of Earth's, their training brutal and exacting. And yet, here they were, Earth's cadets, ready to step into a world where they would be tested against the universe's best. The transport landed smoothly. As the doors hissed open, a gust of cool, scented air filled the cabin. The cadets filed out onto a platform overlooking the academy grounds. Towering structures, crystalline spires, and floating gardens formed an otherworldly city designed to inspire awe. And in the shadows of those structures, eyes watched. Alien instructors stood in small clusters, their expressions unreadable but their voices carrying hints of skepticism. Many had already heard about Earth's cadets, how they came from a planet once ravaged by chaos, how their technology lagged behind, and how their culture seemed chaotic compared to the discipline demanded here. Some whispered, half in amusement, that Earth's soldiers would be outmatched and outclassed in every challenge. Instructor Keshral, a grizzled veteran with scaled skin and piercing amber eyes, observed from a balcony above. His reputation for toughness was well known. To him, humans were an unpredictable nuisance, wild animals who might survive by chance, but would never master the finesse of galactic warfare. He made a quiet note to watch their first training session carefully. The cadets gathered in the central plaza, where a holographic projection of the Galactic Academy's emblem spun slowly, a silver star intertwined with blue flames. An official, tall and slender with multiple eyes, stepped forward. Their voice echoed through the plaza in a melodic tone. "Welcome, Earth's first cadets. You stand at the threshold of a new era. Here, you will be tested beyond the limits of your world. Remember, the Galactic Concord values unity, strength, and respect. Fail, and you return home. Succeed, and you earn a place among the stars." Ava stepped forward, her voice steady. "We are ready." The other cadets followed suit, their responses a chorus of determination. Yet beneath their resolve was a simmering fire, not just to survive, but to prove that Earth's so-called primitive warriors could stand shoulder to shoulder with the galaxy's finest. As the cadets moved toward their dormitories, the alien instructors exchanged looks. Some smirked, certain the humans would break under pressure. Others, more cautious, sensed a spark they couldn't yet name. That night, Ava lay awake staring at the unfamiliar constellations beyond her window. She thought of Earth's wars, its disasters, and its moments of courage. This academy was more than a school. It was a battlefield for respect. She knew the path ahead would be brutal. But humans thrived on challenge. They adapted, survived, and overcame. Tomorrow, the real test would begin. The morning sun cast long, shimmering beams over the training grounds of Velora Prime. The sprawling complex was alive with movement. Cadets from dozens of species running drills, calibrating weapons, and running through simulations. For the alien instructors, it was just another day. But for Earth's cadets, every step carried the weight of 1,000 expectations and doubts. Commander Ava Serrano led her team toward the simulation arena. The hum of advanced technology filled the air, screens flickering to life as the instructors prepared their first test. Earth's cadets had been assigned what the aliens called the basic tactical drills. It was a routine exercise for most species, designed to teach discipline, teamwork, and combat strategy in a controlled environment. For the aliens, it was an opportunity to watch the humans struggle. Instructor Keshrall stood off to the side, arms crossed, his eyes narrowed. "Let's see how primitive instincts hold up when the galaxy's finest test them," he muttered under his breath. The humans were led into the simulation chamber. The walls pulsed with shifting holograms of alien terrain, rocky outcrops, dense forests, and ruined cities. The mission was simple: capture a simulated enemy base while defending their own. It was a standard test, one that nearly every species had mastered. At first, the humans hesitated. They scanned the environment, exchanging quick looks. Instead of falling into the rigid formations expected by the instructors, Ava gave a subtle nod, and the team moved differently. They split into small groups using unconventional tactics. They set traps in unexpected locations, used natural cover in ways the holograms hadn't predicted, and communicated with a sharp mix of hand signals and rapid commands. The simulation shifted in response. Enemy holograms adapted, but never quite caught the humans off guard. Within minutes, they had breached the enemy's perimeter, disabling key defenses and capturing the base. When the simulation ended, the arena fell silent. The alien instructors stared, disbelief flashing in their eyes. No other species had completed the exercise so quickly or so creatively. Lieutenant Jamal Reyes wiped sweat from his brow and grinned. "That was easier than I thought." Ava smiled, but her eyes remained focused. It's not about speed. It's about seeing what others don't. Whispers spread among the other cadets. Some scoffed, claiming the humans were lucky. Others looked uneasy, their confidence shaken. The instructors convened immediately. Instructor Nilfar, a slender being with elongated limbs and violet skin, addressed the group. "This performance is unexpected. We will increase the difficulty next time." But Keshrall was unconvinced. "They're not just lucky," he said quietly. "They think differently. We can't let that go unchecked." Back in their dormitory, the humans exchanged stories and theories. Their backgrounds were diverse: former soldiers, engineers, scholars, all united by one thing: the ability to adapt. They knew Earth's survival had depended on that, on making the most of limited resources and chaotic circumstances. Ava gathered them together. "They don't understand us yet. They expect us to follow their rules, their patterns. But we have our own way of winning. We'll show them what Earth's cadets are really made of." The next days brought more tests, each designed to push the humans further. The instructors tried to trap them with complex strategies and overwhelming force. Each time, the humans adapted, sometimes by breaking the rules entirely, but always with purpose and unity. Slowly, respect began to replace scorn among the observers. The humans were no longer the joke of the academy. They were a puzzle, a wild, unpredictable force that demanded new thinking. And deep down, some instructors feared what that meant. The tension at the Galactic Academy had shifted from polite curiosity to sharp rivalry. Earth's cadets, once dismissed as mere novelties, were now the center of whispered debates and sideways glances. Other species, proud and seasoned, felt their place threatened by these newcomers who refused to fit the mold. The alien cadets, trained in traditions passed down for centuries, were quick to voice their frustration. "They don't respect the order," one Vorkar soldier muttered as he watched the humans navigate drills with their unorthodox methods. "Their chaos disrupts everything we stand for." Among the instructors, opinions were divided. Some admired the humans' raw determination and creativity, but many, like Instructor Keshrall, were openly critical. He had spent decades breaking tough cadets into disciplined soldiers. The humans had so far evaded every attempt to impose his methods. One afternoon, the cadets gathered for a briefing. The air was thick with anticipation. Keshrall stepped forward, his voice cold and steady. "I have devised a test for your next challenge," he announced, "one that will separate the truly disciplined from the reckless. The Mindfold Maze." A hush fell over the room. The Mindfold Maze was legendary, a labyrinth of shifting walls, hidden traps, and mind-bending puzzles. It was designed not just to test strength or skill, but to push cadets to their psychological limits. Many never emerged from the maze unchanged. Fewer still passed it at all. Ava listened carefully. She knew this would be the ultimate test for her team. The other cadets exchanged nervous glances. The alien instructors nodded grimly, confident that this time the humans would break. The next morning, the humans were led to the entrance of the maze. It was a towering structure, its walls shimmering with energy, constantly reshaping the path ahead. The air was heavy with the faint hum of ancient technology. "Remember," Keshral's voice echoed, "this is not just a test of strength. Your mind will be your greatest weapon, or your worst enemy." Ava took a deep breath and led her team inside. The maze swallowed them into darkness, punctuated by shifting light and strange sounds. Every step was unpredictable. The walls moved, pathways changed, and illusions played tricks on their senses. But the humans didn't panic. Instead, they relied on something the maze couldn't anticipate: trust. Each cadet watched the other, sharing observations, reminding each other of what was real. Where the maze tried to isolate, they stayed connected. Hours passed. The maze threw physical obstacles and ethical dilemmas, choices where every decision had consequences. The humans debated, sometimes clashing, but always finding solutions together. Outside, the alien instructors waited, some pacing, others watching screens tracking their progress. Keshral's jaw tightened with each passing hour. No human had ever lasted this long. Suddenly, alarms blared. Inside the maze, the humans triggered an unexpected event. They had uncovered a hidden flaw in the maze's programming, a secret backdoor that no species had ever found before. The system's safety protocols activated, and the maze began to shut down. The doors opened, and the humans emerged, exhausted but triumphant. The alien instructors were stunned into silence. Keshral stared at Ava, his eyes burning with a mixture of anger and grudging respect. "You've broken the impossible," he said quietly. The other cadets looked on with a mix of awe and disbelief. The humans hadn't just survived. They had outsmarted the galaxy's most fearsome trial. That night, as the academy buzzed with the news, Ava and her team sat quietly in their quarters. "We're not just fighting for survival anymore," Ava said softly. "We're rewriting the rules." And somewhere in the shadows, the alien instructors who once doubted them began to dread what that might mean. The mindfold maze loomed before the cadets like a living entity, its walls shimmering with energy, endlessly shifting and reforming as if it were alive. For most, the maze was a nightmare whispered about in the darkest corners of the Galactic Academy. It was not merely a physical test. It was a trial designed to break down minds, to expose weaknesses and fears that even the toughest warriors kept hidden. When the human cadets stepped inside, their hearts pounded, not with fear, but with determination. Ava led the way, her senses sharp, every nerve attuned to the subtle changes in the labyrinth. The maze shifted constantly, corridors stretching and twisting into impossible angles, light flickering to confuse their vision. Illusions whispered promises of safety and threats of doom, but the humans pressed on, eyes clear and steady. Where many cadets faced the maze alone, the humans treated it as a challenge for their whole team. Each member kept close, sharing information, supporting each other through every trial. When a path suddenly dissolved into a void, one cadet reached out, grabbing another's hand. When voices echoed with haunting whispers meant to distract, they focused on each other's breathing, grounding themselves. The maze was filled with puzzles designed to twist perception. A door that only opened if one lied, a corridor that led to multiple conflicting exits, and challenges that forced them to choose between self-preservation and loyalty to the team. At one point, they came to a chamber where holograms of loved ones from their past appeared, calling out for help, sowing doubt and sorrow. The humans held each other firm, reminding one another that this was an illusion, a test of will, not a trap of emotion. It was a lesson they had learned on Earth, where loss and hardship were constant, but hope never faded. Meanwhile, outside the maze, the alien instructors gathered in tense silence. Screens tracked the humans' every move, revealing their slow but steady progress. Many instructors shook their heads, convinced the humans would crack under pressure soon. Keshral, however, watched with narrowed eyes, part frustration, part fascination. "This isn't just survival instinct," he muttered. "They're solving the maze like a puzzle, not a prison." Hours blurred. The maze twisted and changed, each new challenge testing the limits of endurance and intellect. Fatigue crept into the humans' limbs, but their spirits remained unbroken. They adapted, improvising ways to bypass dead ends and traps, communicating with a blend of gestures and quiet signals. Then, just when it seemed the maze would never relent, something unexpected happened. Ava spotted a faint glow beneath the floor, a hidden panel. Curious, she pressed it, triggering a series of lights and sounds that none of the instructors had predicted. Slowly, the walls around them began to unlock. A hidden backdoor in the maze's core programming had been activated. The maze started to shut down, its shifting walls freezing in place. The team hurried to the exit as the doors slid open, revealing the surprised faces of their fellow cadets and instructors. The humans stepped out, exhausted but triumphant. The alien instructors exchanged stunned looks. No cadet, from any species, had ever uncovered this flaw, let alone survived the maze in such a short time. Whispers turned to murmurs, and murmurs to outright astonishment. Keshral's jaw clenched. "They're not just lucky. They're dangerous," he admitted, his voice low but certain. In their quarters later, Ava gathered her team. "We didn't just survive the maze," she said quietly. "We outsmarted it. That's the difference between following the rules and rewriting them." Her teammates nodded, their exhaustion overshadowed by pride. For the first time, the humans weren't just cadets. They were a force the Galactic Academy couldn't ignore. The shutdown of the Mindfold maze sent ripples throughout the Galactic Academy. Instructors and cadets alike struggled to process what had just happened. The humans hadn't merely passed a legendary test. They had broken it. Inside the main control room, a cluster of alien technicians hurriedly analyzed the data streaming from the maze's sensors. The system was ancient, built to withstand every conceivable attack or deception. Yet somehow, the Earth cadets had found an unforeseen flaw, a secret backdoor buried deep in the programming, a loophole no one had ever detected. Instructor Keshral stood over the technicians, his amber eyes sharp as they sifted through the data. "How is this possible?" he demanded. "This system was perfected through millennia of conflict simulations." A technician, nervously adjusting his console, replied, "They approached it not as a battlefield, but as a puzzle. Their unpredictability bypassed the standard algorithms designed to trap others." Keshral frowned. He wasn't used to being challenged, especially not by what he'd always considered inferior. Meanwhile, Ava and her team returned to their quarters, exhausted but buzzing with adrenaline. They knew the victory wasn't just in surviving the maze, it was in rewriting its rules. On Earth, survival meant seeing beyond chaos to find patterns others missed. They'd used every lesson, every hardship, every unexpected strategy honed through centuries of conflict on a planet that demanded adaptability. Back in the Academy's Central Hall, a meeting was underway. The senior instructors debated how to respond to this unprecedented challenge. Some argued for harsher tests, convinced that the human success was a fluke that could be corrected with enough pressure. Others, however, warned that Earth's cadets represented a new breed of warrior, one who couldn't be controlled by old methods. Instructor Nilthar spoke with quiet authority. "We must understand their mindset. It is not disorder, it is evolution. They think in ways we have not encountered before." Word spread quickly among the cadets. Earth's team was no longer a curiosity or a laughingstock. They were a symbol of change. Other cadets looked at them with a mixture of awe and unease, Some tried to mimic their tactics. Others steeled themselves, preparing to fight harder against what they now saw as a serious threat. Despite the growing tension, Ava remained focused. She gathered her team for a meeting. "We can't just rely on what got us this far," she said. "They'll adapt. We have to keep evolving faster than they expect. That's the edge we have, our unpredictability." Her teammates nodded, knowing that the next phase of training would be even tougher. Days later, the instructors unveiled the next challenge. A simulated combat scenario designed to test not just strategy, but leadership and resilience under fire. This time, the humans would face multiple enemy factions with shifting alliances, forcing them to navigate not only battle but diplomacy and betrayal. As the simulation began, Ava's team moved with the same fierce determination and adaptability that had brought them this far. They coordinated their moves seamlessly, anticipating threats before they appeared, turning weaknesses into advantages. The alien instructors watched in silence, the grudging respect growing into something heavier, a realization that Earth's cadets were not just surviving the academy, but changing it. For Keshral, the recognition was bitter. He had always believed discipline and tradition were the keys to victory. Now he faced the uncomfortable truth that humans wielded chaos as a weapon, and they wielded it well. That night, alone in his quarters, Keshral stared at the stars beyond his window, contemplating the shifting tides. Earth's cadets had done the impossible. They had broken the system, and the galaxy would never be the same. The combat simulation was proving to be unlike any other. The alien instructors watched carefully as Ava's team maneuvered through the shifting alliances and constant threats of the virtual battlefield. The holographic environment morphed from dense alien jungles to barren wastelands, testing every skill they had. But it wasn't just their tactics that caught attention. It was their ability to adapt emotionally and mentally under pressure. While many cadets relied on raw power or sheer numbers, the humans used something far more subtle. They read their opponent's body language, anticipated shifts in behavior, and exploited moments of hesitation. They were masters of unpredictability, turning their perceived weaknesses into strengths. Lieutenant Jamal Reyes took point on a risky maneuver, drawing enemy fire while his teammates flanked from the rear. When a sudden betrayal threatened their position, Ava didn't panic. She recalculated, changing their objective with a swift command that kept them ahead of the enemy's moves. The alien cadets watching grew increasingly frustrated. Their own strategies, perfected over centuries, seemed inflexible in comparison. The humans weren't just fighting. They were learning, evolving with every encounter. In the observation deck, Instructor Nilfar exchanged a glance with Keshral. "They fight like chaos made flesh," she murmured. "But there is order beneath it, a strength we underestimated." Keshral nodded reluctantly. "It's a strength born of necessity. Earth has never had the luxury of perfection. They survive by bending the rules and breaking them." Despite the growing respect, the challenges continued. The instructors unveiled new tests, mental puzzles, endurance trials, and simulations designed to break teamwork through deception and doubt. Each time, the humans responded not with rigidity, but with creative solutions, binding their team tighter. One night, after an exhausting day, Ava found herself alone in the Academy's quiet garden. The twin moons hung low, casting silver light over exotic plants. She thought about everything they had faced, the doubt, the sneers, the impossible tasks. And yet, here they were, still standing. Her thoughts were interrupted by a quiet voice behind her. "You have strength I did not expect," said Instructor Nilfar, stepping into the moonlight. Her violet eyes studied Ava intently. Ava straightened. "We're not just fighting for ourselves. We're fighting for Earth." Nilfar nodded slowly. "It shows. Your resilience, your unity. It is different, but powerful." For the first time, Ava saw not just an instructor, but an ally in this vast alien world. Back in their quarters, the team gathered around a small table, sharing stories and plans. They knew the Academy's trials were far from over, but something had shifted. They had proven themselves to the galaxy, and more importantly, to themselves. Ava looked around at her team, each face lit by the soft glow of the room. We're not just cadets. We're pioneers. The galaxy isn't ready for us. But that only means we have more to teach. The humans smiled, tired but determined. In the shadows, the alien instructors watched, realizing that Earth's cadets were more than a challenge. They were a new chapter in galactic history. Word of Earth's cadets' unexpected victories and resilience spread throughout the Galactic Academy like wildfire. The once dismissive whispers now carried a hint of reverence or fear. The alien instructors, especially those who had doubted the humans most, were forced to rethink everything. Keshral, ever the skeptic, found himself restless. He had spent years enforcing order and discipline, but the humans had defied every convention he believed unbreakable. His pride wrestled with a grudging respect, but he knew one thing for certain. The Academy's next trial would be the toughest yet. The announcement came during a solemn assembly. The senior instructors declared the final phase of the training, the Grand War Simulation. Unlike previous tests, this one was designed to simulate an all-out interstellar conflict, with every faction at odds, alliances fragile and fleeting. The stakes were clear. Only those who could survive and lead through chaos would graduate. Ava and her team listened carefully. The simulation would last for days, testing endurance, leadership, diplomacy, and combat. Failure meant starting over or worse, dismissal. As the simulation began, the virtual universe unfolded around them. A swirling battlefield of star systems, resource-rich planets, and hostile fleets. Ava's team was immediately thrust into the heart of the conflict, their decisions shaping the fate of countless worlds. Unlike previous tests, the Grand War Simulation demanded more than quick reflexes. It required negotiation, strategic alliances, and a willingness to sacrifice for the greater good. The humans found themselves navigating a maze of political intrigue and shifting loyalties as much as enemy fire. Lieutenant Jamal Reyes spearheaded a risky diplomatic mission, forging fragile alliances with species long at odds. Meanwhile, Ava coordinated their forces with calm precision, adapting to betrayals and sudden ambushes with equal skill. The alien instructors watched closely, their expressions a mixture of astonishment and concern. The humans' unpredictable tactics and relentless adaptability were rewriting the rules of warfare. At one point, the humans faced near annihilation when a coalition of rival factions ambushed them on a resource planet. Trapped and outnumbered, Ava made a bold call. "We don't fight their way," she told her team. "We fight our way." Using a mix of guerrilla tactics, feints, and exploiting the terrain, they turned the tables. The enemy's superior numbers became a weakness as the humans forced chaos into their ranks, breaking their cohesion. As the simulation progressed, it became clear that the humans were not just surviving. They were dominating. Their willingness to embrace uncertainty and think beyond rigid doctrine gave them an edge no other cadets possessed. Yet, the pressure mounted. Exhaustion gnawed at their bodies, and the mental strain threatened cracks in their unity. Small disagreements sparked, but Ava kept the team focused, reminding them why they were here. In the shadows, Keshral watched the unfolding events with growing unease. He recognized the humans' power, but also their danger. If this was the future of warfare, the galaxy would never be the same. The Grand War Simulation was more than a test. It was a turning point. For Ava and her team, it was the ultimate proving ground. For the instructors, it was a lesson in humility. The final hours of the Grand War Simulation felt like an eternity compressed into moments. The virtual battlefield was a chaotic storm of clashing fleets, shifting alliances, and desperate gambits. Every decision Ava and her team made rippled through the simulation, shaping destinies and deciding lives. Fatigue weighed heavily on the humans, their bodies aching and minds strained. Yet their determination burned brighter than ever. They had come too far, not just for themselves, but for Earth and everyone who believed in their potential. In the simulation's climax, Ava faced the greatest challenge yet. A coalition of elite alien forces had united against them, determined to crush the humans once and for all. The enemy's strength was overwhelming, their tactics brutal and precise. The Cadets' ranks thinned as the battle raged. Allies betrayed, supply lines severed, options dwindled. The Academy's instructors watched with bated breath, some hoping the humans would falter, others fearing the consequences if they did not. But Ava did not falter. She called her team together in the heart of the simulation's command center, their faces illuminated by flickering holomaps and warnings. "This is more than a fight for victory," she said, voice steady. "It's a fight to show that adaptability, courage, and unity can overcome even the greatest odds." One lesson was all it took to change everything. Her words sparked a fire. The humans rallied, moving as one, fluid, fierce, and fearless. They launched a final daring assault, not just on their enemy's forces, but on their assumptions. Where others expected rigid formations, the humans shattered ranks and remade the battlefield. Where others relied on overwhelming force, the humans used deception, speed, and unexpected alliances. The enemy faltered, confusion spreading through their lines as the humans seized every opening. Slowly, the tide turned. When the simulation ended, silence fell. The whole of displays faded, replaced by the steady hum of the Academy. Then applause erupted, not just from the human cadets, but from alien instructors and fellow trainees alike. Ava's team stood together, exhausted but victorious. The Academy's senior instructors approached, faces solemn but respectful. Keshral, who had been their harshest critic, stepped forward. His voice carried the weight of hard-earned respect. "You have shown us that the strength of humanity lies not in rigid discipline or overwhelming power, but in the ability to adapt, to think beyond the rules, and to unite in the face of adversity. One lesson was all it took for us to understand, and for you to prove, that Earth's cadets belong among the galaxy's finest." From that day forward, the humans were no longer outsiders. They were warriors, pioneers, and symbols of hope for a galaxy in flux. Ava looked around at her team, at the faces that had fought, struggled, and triumphed. She knew this was just the beginning. The universe was vast, and the lessons they had learned on Earth and in the Academy would shape its future. One lesson was all it took.